You've been working with Martin Scorsese for 10 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea of this interview is you talking about Marty's work and your relationship. So do you remember your first meeting with him?
The first time I met him, I believe it was there was a premiere for Mad Dog and Glory, and there was an underground basement after party, and I was 18 or something like that, and I was in New York for the first time doing Basketball Diaries. And I wanted to meet Martin Scorsese because, I had worked with De Niro on my first film, and I had seen everything that he'd ever done, and I was a huge fan of his work. He was my favorite director, really. And I got to meet him very briefly, and to my surprise, he actually knew who I was. I had no idea, and he complimented me on the movie, and I was sort of speechless. And I'd always said to myself, if I ever get the opportunity to work with him, I have to jump on it. So I really sought out the movie Gangs of New York, and I was focused on trying to get that to work with him on. And ultimately, we connected, and he wanted to do the movie, and it's been a great experience ever since.
And first day of shooting with him on Gangs of New York.
Wow. God, I wish I remember what that was. What was my first day of shooting?
No.
Oh, I don't remember, unfortunately. But I remember being incredibly nervous.
Yeah.
Incredibly nervous, yeah. A lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure. But what I discovered through the years is that, that great collaboration, which I think is the greatest cinematic relationship in film history between he and De Niro, he has a trust component with the actors that he works with, and he gives the actors that he hires full responsibility for their character, and he almost looks to them to navigate emotionally where the movie ultimately goes. And so that's a lot of responsibility, but it's very empowering too. Every actor, whether you're there for a day or not, he lets you have ownership of that character, and he can maybe steer you in this direction or that, but ultimately, when you walk onto set, you better have done your homework, you better have a full understanding of your character's reactions and a deep, profound, connection with them.
And I think the mark of great directors is that they reinvent themselves and learn new things on each project. So what did you discover about Martin Scorsese on Shutter Island? What's something new about him?
Well, I really, what was really interesting is we always have a pre-production process on these films where he screens movies to influence him, and the tone and of the film that he wants to create, and the look and the feel and the way the actors might interact, or the way he wants the lead character to present themselves. And on this movie, we watched a lot of film noir movies, a lot of watch Vertigo, Out of the Past, Laura, films like that to get the mood of the detective, and also a lot of documentaries on mental insanity. But what's interesting about him is that when he's creating the movie in his mind, it's almost like he's accessing his own dreams. He's accessing some part of his mind that has stored these these pieces of cinema that he has to rescreen the movie to waken that dream up. Because there's so much film in his head, there's so much history there, that you're there in the theater with him as he's saying, I knew that scene is exactly the tone that I wanted for the lake, or how the log cabin should look, or how your character should be. And you're sitting there with the cinematographer and the art director, and he's reliving these dreams. And sometimes he's wrong about those dreams. He's like, oh, this isn't how I remembered. This is not what I want it to look like. But it's like an artist accessing all of cinema history. It's amazing. And that's the wealth. That's what's almost unfair for most directors, that he has so much wealth in his mind of cinema history and the appreciation for his art form that, it's almost unfair for other directors.
What if while you were looking into them, they were looking into you? Now they have us both. Here, now. Let me see your face. Let me see your damn face now! Don't move, somebody! Wouldn't you agree?